I'm too old for this.
Yeah, it's getting.
Hey, PH.
Hola.
How are you?
Good.
Cellular phone.
Education.
Yeah. Hola.
Why am I talking?
Uthwile.
What does it mean?
Knees, big palms are sweating.
I'm used to gloves. So since I'm no longer wearing gloves, I'm always
please.
sweaty.
Yeah.
That's a secret behind every goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the cloud.
Why is it a secret?
Those are my gloves.
Is it? National team? Or then you just new ones?
No, they're new.
Just new. But I'm gonna give them to Cellular. He knows where to take them.
Yeah.
Where are you taking them?
Hey, man, future, man. I've seen the next Itumeleng Khune, man.
Did you find something?
Yeah, he did some saves similar to the one when I'm looking at that shirt. I'm seeing the Confederations Cup. Remember the Confederations Cup?
Of course.
When he saved
David Villa.
David Villa. That penalty. Yeah. I saw the similar thing and I was like,
But he still scored.
yeah.
Excitement.
Okay, guys, this is not a table of beef. I know the Netbank Cup Final is going to be this kind of atmosphere, but this is not a table for beef.
Yeah.
Also, Ish, I know, can you have a moment of silence for who?
Oh, wow.
He just got knocked out by. If we can just observe the only brother who's not going to be at the final.
You'll be watching
Too soon.
There was so much confidence.
Of course I was.
Gents, how do you guys feel about the Netbank Cup so far? Like, we've done most of the work. One more game left. It's me and you.
You know,
How do you feel about the journey?
and sitting with Khune because he's actually the last guy that lifted the trophy for Chiefs for the Netbank Cup. So
19
he's,
man.
2013.
Just making sure.
Exactly.
Come on. Can
It's
we get
written.
5 minutes
It's written
in
on the history
before?
books.
Before.
It's written on the history books.
Okay.
It's there. So yeah, we might write that history once again because he knows the feeling and everything. And talk about the feeling. How was the feeling actually leading to that actual Netbank Cup, that final? And what might be going through the player's mind right now?
To be quite honest, during that period, remember SuperSport was dominant in South African football. They were winning every trophy. And we faced them. Going into 90 minutes, the score was still 0-0. Then we went to extra time. Bennett Parker scored with 2 minutes to go in the extra time. And I was scared that we were going into penalty shootouts. And Ronwen Williams, remember, when it goes to penalties, he saves everything. So I was hoping and praying that we don't go to penalties because at that time, I wasn't really good in saving penalties. So we wanted to wrap it up in the 90 minutes. But unfortunately, we wrapped it up in the extra time. So it was a relief for all of us. And I wish the current generation can also do the same, by lifting the cup. But I'm happy that they've qualified for CAF Confederations Cup for next season.
As well, yeah.
So they are back on the continental
they need
football,
that.
and they need that.
Definitely. For you, General, I'm sure you didn't expect.
We're not talking confederations. We don't know what that is.
No, give what a game, yeah.
Soul man.
No, console yourself. She was bad, but not him to bad.
But you're talking confederations, so I don't know what that is.
Chiefs to Chiefs. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to allow them. They don't have too much to celebrate.
Yeah.
I didn't know from that they're asking me how do I feel. I'm like, okay, cool, guys. I don't know what confederation is. So we don't.
You're not involved.
No.
They
We
must
play
have
Champions
involved
League.
you.
Levels.
So what's up? What was the question?
No, the question was basically speaking about yesterday's game, Chiefs versus Sundowns. I mean, it was packed and no one actually gave Chiefs a chance. But Chiefs managed to actually seal through. They came back from behind. For you, did you ever thought that the game might turn out like that?
Not necessarily, but you look at the number of days when Kaizer Chiefs wasn't playing, when Sundowns was playing. So that you can filter in into then Chiefs had more rest, and also they had more time to actually plan about the game. And you look at also from Miami Sundowns, they just traveled, they landed on Friday, they have an important game on Sunday. So that also can play a little bit of a part, because then you start asking yourself as to then which team will Sundowns coach put on the day? Because you just had played a very crucial game, of that magnitude where it really, really challenges you mentally and physically. And then you also have this important game as well against Kaizer Chiefs. You have to qualify. And bear in mind, you do have a new coach at Sundowns that still has to win. Right? So Chiefs had an upper hand, but also when you look at what the history tells you is like Chiefs hasn't beaten Sundowns in such a long time. So you can filter that in, so which means the hunger is more on the Kaizer Chiefs side. But also the game plan at Chiefs, the way they started, they look like a team that wanted to win more. And now you start looking at Sundowns of like, okay, are you guys tired or you don't have the motivation to do it? Because sometimes, the heart can want to do something, but the body says, you know what, if it's I'm tired. And it's always challenging. You can tell it's always challenging from playing a game of high magnitude and demanding, coming to another game as well to play on that level.
High stakes.
It's very challenging. But then again, I think football gods were on Chiefs' side, and everything just worked, man.
Platone, you said something that PhD actually said very early. I saw your AMA fans were to interview you, and you said he only managed to see the first 2 minutes of the game, and you could already see that Chiefs was looking like they were going into the final.
Yeah, man. For the first time, like the things like I've watched Chiefs play Sundowns, in the last couple of years. I think for the first time that I saw Kaizer Chiefs being a little bit brave to play Mambi Sundowns and looking forward to it, right? And also you have a Kaizer Chiefs coach that, he's been under fire since ever he's been at Kaizer Chiefs. So you can see also the emotion side after the game, how emotional he was. I think more of a relief type of thing. And the challenges that also Kaizer Chiefs as a team are facing, they knew that, this is the one opportunity for silverware this year, to be on the podium this year. And maybe that's one thing that they needed also to build on from next season. So these are type of games that we always ask for Kaizer Chiefs. We never questioned the quality that Kaizer Chiefs has. But you always question the character. As in like, okay, Sharp, guys, you lose the game, but it's how? Do you really, really want to fight? How do you feel about your other colleagues, representing South Africa in the continental space, but you also call yourself a big team? Then what are you doing at home? You're just chilling. You don't have enough players in the national team. And that's not a Kaizer Chiefs way, So there's a lot of elements that you can look at them and be like, but maybe me as a Kaizer Chiefs player, I need to look at myself and start being competitive. And I don't want to sound like an old guy, like, in our time. But it's just that now when we were playing, we're very competitive. Like we'll be friends outside the pitch, but when it comes to the game, we're very competitive. We wanna be the first one to be picked in the national team. We want to win accolades. We want to see our teams be in the podium end of the season. And that was a question because Kaizer Chiefs has been known being a team that also lifts trophies all over the season. But then again, now the last 2 or 3 years, the conversation is always about the Chiefs and Pirates. Those are the only 2 teams that have been actually doing well within local football. But then you start asking yourself, Kaizer Chiefs, where are you? So you start being a mockery because of you're not getting to podiums, you're not winning trophies. You always speak about 10 years, 11 years. So sometimes for you to actually maybe get to the position or to come back to where you were, you need to go through such a spell. But then Kaizer Chiefs, where there's a lot of demands, the fans, bragging rights, so they have nothing to brag about. People also forget that Sundowns also went through the same thing. The Pirates also went through the same thing. But because of now we're thinking and we're looking at now, we're like, Kaizer Chiefs.
Of everything in the past.
So maybe this might be the opportunity for things to turn around against Kaizer Chiefs. Because in the past, Kaizer Chiefs was also one of the teams that players playing in the smaller teams, they wanted to play for. Now things have changed in the last 2, 4 years, 5 years. It's Sundowns and Pirates. Players want to play for those teams because you want to see yourself winning something. Because at the end of the day, there's no need of playing 10 years, 15 years in the PSL, but you haven't won anything. Because you want to win something, right? So I think maybe this is the right step. Maybe this is an opportunity for Kaizer Chiefs to realize that maybe we can not cause an upset, but also maybe start rewriting the history and maybe things will fall into place for them.
Professor?
And
how do you feel?
Before my PhD says something, I want to add to what Teko is saying. Remember, when we go to the national team, we get there and we're not just representing the country. What we usually do when we're in camp, we'll sit around and have chats, about our teams, and
like your league teams.
Yes, league teams, and obviously it's either before we go to the national team, we play the derby, or straight after coming back from camp, we play the derby. And or whichever team that we play against. So we used to challenge each other at the national team.
Yeah.
You know, to say when we go back to the league, you won't score past me.
Sure, sure.
And Teko would tell me that I want to score against you and I will make sure of that.
Yeah.
So that happens. And
Hey,
that's how,
this topic, you know?
that's how we that's how
Sharp
we
leopard.
The topic.
But this one was hate.
Yeah, this
you
one
guys, you guys were battling
Yeah.
from
It was
opposite
personal.
things
Yeah.
every time. Big personalities, big artists.
But we were.
Yeah,
Look,
we used
what
to
we
bring
saw was
we used to
amazing.
bring the best out of each other.
Yeah.
You know, because of when we made the national team, we know that when we go back to our respective clubs, there's still competition even there.
Yeah.
So he's right by saying when you don't have certain players in the national team, obviously the teams are not doing well at that time.
Yeah.
And for now, Chiefs hasn't produced any player for our national team. And I wonder sometimes what chats do players have when they are not mixing with other players from other teams, you know. But I think that during our time used to work for us. You know, the competition used to be up there.
Healthy, inbred competition.
You see. So goalkeepers started being recognized because Teko used to keep me busy. And I used to say, no, you won't score. So that's why I was also recognized as a goalkeeper to be in the...
Scoring this thing.
That's why I used to be recognized in the footballer of the year category.
With
You know,
the
as a
players,
goal-
with the
players.
attackers. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how we changed
Yeah.
the narrative, you know. So now goalkeepers are being recognized. Goalkeepers are winning man of the matches. Hence, Netbank came up with goals versus saves because they know as a goalkeeper, the more saves you make, you are being recognized as a man of the match. As an infield player, the more goals you score,
more chances you have.
You see.
Yeah.
So I think
So
the
interesting.
current
You
generation needs to
bring
do
up a
that.
topic that I
Yeah,
want to bring,
yeah.
come back to when it comes to this goalkeeping thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Professor, I just want to know how do you feel as the most educated man in South African football?
In the world.
In the whole world. The only man with a PhD in football.
We have to put ourselves to that standard and to that level. As I was saying to Itumeleng Khune, sorry to interject you, to say when he saved David Villa as penalty. Remember, by that time, Spain was rated the #1 team. It was before they won the World Cup. I think we are robbing ourselves to the standard that we are at. Because you find that you save a David Villa as penalty, someone who's one of the best players in the world. But just because the geographical location has robbed us to say we are the best in the world. And I think in our mind, we are limiting ourselves. We judge ourselves as if we don't belong in the very same world. And this is just maybe the political side of football. When I saw Teko the first time, in fact, I was told about him. I come from Zanin in Limpopo. And I was told, people were saying, hi man. You know, I was not really watching local football then, but I was still at school. They said, hey, Teko Modise, hey, this player guy. It's not a player that can really provoke me into going to watch football at the stadium. But someone just invited me. And then I saw him once.
City Pillars.
Yeah, City Pillars. Said that this guy,
Danger.
it's danger. This guy is going to shock the world. And by that time, I wished I was maybe a scout. I always have a problem with scouts. I think they are robbing us sometimes. By that time, I think the second time that I saw him. Remember, I've got a PhD of watching a player without watching them. I saw him out. It was night chief. He was terrorizing Kaizer Chiefs. I think, was it the Netbank Cup?
Netbank
Yeah,
Cup,
but it was it was the similar cup, but it wasn't Nedbank.
Yeah, it was in Netbank.
Yeah.
But people were like, hey, Teko Modise, this guy is what? Left, right, and center. And I could really literally watch the game without watching it. And I said, it's the very same guy that I said this guy would become a danger to South African football. Because we've got a PhD of seeing these things even before they happen. You understand? So I said, man, this guy.
So
And
Lisangoma,
so that's why it was not a surprise when he came to PSL that all 16 teams wanted him. You understand? So that's why I'm saying we still have the same thing. And I'm glad that even my PhD, I could see the rivalry when they were playing. You could tell that Itumeleng Khune owned the goalpost. Sometimes as a player, you have to put yourself even before the team. To say, yes, I'm Kaizer Chiefs, but I own the goal post. When you score Kaizer Chiefs, you are not just scoring Kaizer Chiefs, you are scoring Itumeleng Khune. I think this is the character what he's trying to say, I'm not just a goalkeeper. If you beat Chiefs, you are not only beating Chiefs, you are beating me. And I think that's what even Teko has made, even at Orlando Pirates, that when you beat Orlando Pirates, you're not just beating Orlando Pirates, but you are beating Teko Modise. You know, you have to become that player that would also define, you know, the football space. For example, how many supporters do Orlando Pirates have?
2 million.
Millions. But I make sure that in my own understanding and in my own speciality, I become that player in terms of being a fan. You might think it's easy.
To have a PhD is not
It's not easy. You might think it's easy because we're just friends, all of us. But I make sure that when I get there, I say things that would make me unique to an extent that, you know, when Sundowns humiliated us and beat us 4-0.
Oh, you remember?
Yeah, I still remember the humiliation.
Just checking.
I know because we brought it back.
Okay.
So we're okay with it. We can speak about
No,
it.
just checking.
Yeah, 6 years we sit.
Whoa.
No, the cables are still damaged.
You know, it was so personal that people even on media space were like, yeah, we want to hear him what he's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of Orlando Pirates fans, but I make sure that I provoke even the technical team to say, you won't beat Orlando Pirates with me in it. And I'm not even a player for that matter. You understand? So I think this is what he's talking about, to say, be that character that you would not just be Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah, a Kaizer Chiefs player or an Orlando Pirates. That's why Teko Modise was always, people were like, yeah, he never won a trophy. He never won what. Because they could see that this guy has got everything, but obviously you just want that one thing, the negative. I mean, how do you become the first footballer without winning anything? It just shows that you are that great. If I can be the first footballer without a trophy, what does it tell you? It means I can beat the person who has a trophy. It means you've individualized football to make it your own. Because remember, it's an honor to be in that football space, and you must own it. Because there are people who were 10 times as talented as you are, but they never got that opportunity. And if you've got that opportunity, grab it and make the best out of it. And you must never own it for yourself, because you're not just representing yourself. You're representing the majority. And I think what the spark of the conversation that he has brought to say,
Where?
look at Duba. Pela Duba is the one who brought the correct, that young boy. He was interviewed before the match. He said, we are going to win. You need that character to say, no, I'm going to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why I gave myself a PhD. I said, yeah, I've got a PhD. And have the arrogance to say it. You need that characters to, you know, just to build up the game and stuff.
And I like what you said about this whole international thing, because before I want to move on, the thing you said about being on the world stage, literally this weekend, everyone was complaining about Onana's performance there at Man U.
Yeah.
And how someone complained and said, hey, black goalkeepers. We don't have good black goalkeepers. On Twitter, who did they say is the best black goalkeeper?
They said in the comments,
It said the best, this is the guy who
And they
should have been the
showed the
showcase.
clip.
Yes. It trended when they said, yeah. So I like that, number one. Number two, when I went to the 2015 Ballon d'Or Awards, I met Edgar Davids.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, hey, where are you from? I'm
Yeah.
from South Africa. Where, Joburg? You
No,
won the
I
Ballon
know.
I've been to the Ballon d'Ors. I should have a PhD. But it's fine. It's fine. I call it an honors. I have an honors. But I went there, and literally in the gym, this guy's like, yeah, are you from Joburg? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so you know Orlando Pirates? I'm like, of course. He's like, do you know Teko Modise? I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, Edgar Davids met a South African and asked about one guy. Like, how we have so much potential. And I understand now, like, it makes me even more proud to say things like, we need to put us a lot, you know. And I feel like it would have been a different conversation if they got to see you guys the way we saw you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Just
anyway,
unfortunate.
it's life. It's life.
It is what it is.
But anyway, guys, on the road to where we are now, we've also seen other teams besides the big three that we've been, you know, that took the first part of this whole conversation. I mean, the third in the log, Khune, how they've been performing, how Marumo's been performing, the fact that it was actually a high-pressure game for Pirates coming into the semi-final. You know, the stress doesn't bloom. The stress doesn't bloom. I don't understand why we would go to such a small city and come back with so much stress.
And you guys were fortunate that you're playing at home, man.
You know what I'm saying? On the return, because the slaughterhouse, it's the only place it can happen.
Let's go deep.
I'm so proud.
But you think maybe based on what Coach Rivero has announced, that maybe also ignited the hunger, another fire, because then you want to send off the guy very, very good, because now he said he's done, and you have all these pressured games. You know, imagine if he had to leave and then you're not even sure if you're not fighting for anything. So now you look at London Pirates, they're fighting for the league. They're in the final of the Netbank Cup.
Fighting a treble.
Exactly. And if he wins, I mean, he's rewriting history, this guy, right? So,
be a great
so I can just imagine the conversation in the dressing rooms, because true teams that really, 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 become champions and they do it over and over again, it's because sometimes they win games they shouldn't be winning, right? You find ways out to win games, because then you understand as well that I don't have to really, really play well to win this type of a game. Just like Marumo Gallants. You know they do have something in you, in your pocket because of what happened in Bloem. But then Rabona, they're fighting for their lives. And number one. Number two is like, we can ignore it, but the fact of the matter is, when you're playing for so-called smaller teams and playing against the bigger team in such competitions, in high stake like that, it's also a window of opportunity for you to actually move across to come to Joburg. All these teams around other provinces, they all want to come to Joburg, right? Because Joburg is where the trophies are, national team and all that stuff. So you can just imagine the hype maybe in Marumo Gallant's changing room, knowing that, guys, we can actually do this. And the stress now, because now you're on the other side. It's no longer about tactics. When you're other Pirates playing against Marumo Gallants, tactics are out of the window. It's about the character now. So it's then how then in difficult situations, difficult moments, then you're able to find ways
on the day.
on the day.
Show up as
You understand what I'm saying? And we can also say that same Pirates and Sundowns, they have similar schedule, very, very tough schedules, right? But then it's that character, it's the know-how, and that also sets you apart, because even if when you walk, because I was fortunate enough to play for big teams. So you tend to win games in the tunnel. Right? Just in the tunnel, you tend to win games, because you look on the other side, you're looking at these players that they want to be you. They want to be wearing the same jersey that you're wearing. So they are highly motivated to beat you individually. They're like, But then what sets you apart is you have emotional intelligence to say, I don't have to compete with this guy, NH. Because like you look at Netbank gives all these other teams the opportunity, even amateur teams. So when they come here, you must understand they train 6 weeks to play Orlando Pirates, a smaller team. They train for 6 weeks, they camp outside your KFC. We camp because we focus, because we know understand this.
The energy that Baroka brought to Orlando. That game.
And after the game is, now you start speaking about 2 or 3 players that might be joining, PSL teams. So we understand as a smaller team that there's a window of opportunity for marketing yourself, right? But still you want to win. And by winning also against a big team like that, it really, really, really sets you apart. Because then it just, puts you in a scale where normally you have to gain promotion in that side. It takes longer. So playing against your Marumo Gallants, those are the most challenging ones, because then it challenges you physically, challenges you mentally, because then you don't even know the drive from that side. Where now you're driven because of the demands of winning such a game, and you're coming into that game with all the odds on your side. Kada! My friend. Guys, if I win this game, if I score against E2, I'm holding the headlines. So from next season,
the best moment of my life versus another day in the office.
You understand what I'm saying? So those are very, very difficult. So I can understand the stress that other players went through.
TS years, the years of tax, the years of TTM, all those underdog years.
And he has the memories. I remember when Chiefs lost against Baroka. Pitamukawa Stadium. And Chiefs by that time they had good players. They had like Bomtozi and they had Monsona and
Prime.
It was really difficult, and it was just a difficult moment just to swallow it in. You know,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
But you guys always give all these other teams opportunities to beat you. Like if there's an amateur team, they want to play you guys because they know they're going to go through.
They actually get excited.
Ah, my man.
Like they really get excited. I think also it has to do with the factor that I think he also tried to mention it, Uti. They'll have footages, like they spend more time to analyze if maybe they'll play against Chiefs, they have more time to analyze it. And for some of the players, they want to market themselves. I mean, like if me and Zokoro against Khune, I'll definitely celebrate. Like I'll even bring my family, the whole entire family.
Onto the corner, they
Yeah,
do celebration.
exactly. It's a game I've been waiting for throughout the whole season. So this competition actually does that, and it has introduced us to so many teams that even players. I mean, I remember I think Chiefs lost also again to Andile Chalo when they were introduced. Is it
Tucks.
Yeah, which you about the whistle and everything. It was my first time seeing that talent about Andile Chalo and all things. It was quite, and I was even at the match. I remember with my dad. It was the first time even going to Tucks, and it was a small stadium. It was you get what I'm saying, and I can imagine the players in the changing room when they're looking at Itumeleng Khune, they're looking at all these people Jimmy Tau, and you know what, and you want to step in and you want to play. So it's and I'm also seeing it a lot also in the youth development as well. You know, when I'm looking at when Chiefs plays against the other small team, the players will be so highly motivated. They'll talk about the whole week leading into that. But for Chiefs, I think now it's a thing now. They tend to be that team now that it's more like in competition, because even with this Netbank, looking at the games that they've been playing till I think for me I've seen a sense of courage. Like I would feel it. I was even having a conversation with my dad. We're like, this might look like
the year that you guys actually start to turn around.
because the character is so different. I mean, look at also the number of goals they've scored. Chiefs, they've scored a couple of
12
goals
now.
as well. You know, they scored a lot. And what's so funny, they'll win that game. The next one, the league match becomes so different. Then you understand what is going on. But I think they really want this one because also it's about bringing back the glory days, you know. And it needs one trophy, because as soon as you win that one trophy, they'll have all of that.
Confidence, the momentum.
It starts growing, and the technical team is also. I think they're trying to bring that. I love their energy. I love the positive energy that they bring. When
Do you think Nabi's gonna chill another season?
honestly, with my side, I think he needs that. He brought a bit of
dignity.
That's one thing. I think also the Chiefs in a couple of years they wouldn't make 10 touches. Let's just be honest. Now they're able to do that. You know, but they're there. Some kind of stuff needs to be done there and there. You know, it's not easy to transform the whole thing.
To add to what you are saying, football is evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
And remember now, most teams, they play on transition. You don't really need to. There was a time where there was tiki-taka. And now there's no time for that. The reason why Chiefs scored their first goal, Sundowns was trying to be clever, playing tiki-taka at the back. Duba intercepted, punished them.
Sundowns was trying to be clever.
Yes, but with us, when we were coached by Stuart Baxter, no, we changed football, and that's when we introduced the transition football. We don't need 10 touches to get to the opposition side. I used to catch the ball, and we would count less than 10 seconds.
Into the channel.
Transition, distribution, 3 touches, ball at the back of the net. So football evolves every time.
So I just wanted to touch on, right now you were saying about the evolution of football and how things are changing. How do we equate that to the fact that Sundowns might take the 8th right now? Because then we can say that...
Might.
Okay.
Not about the
We're trying to wait.
He's saying that because he's trying to chase that.
Two things, yes, because I'm a supporter, but number 2, because there's still a numerical chance for this thing to happen right now, and I'm not gonna shut it down just because the team are confident. And I'm confident. Well, I'm trying. So as long as there's a numerical chance, I'm going to still say. You know. But now these guys are looking towards number 8. How does that speak to the development and evolution of football in SA when these guys have been dominant for so long? Like, how does that translate then? You know?
Yeah, I think with me, honestly, my lecture used to say the management you see it on the pitch, you know? So me being on the inside, having seen what's really happening on these teams, I think it's the management. The management speaks a lot. I spend a lot of time with Sundowns. I would see like they'll even have a scout on a game that you never thought they would be on. It's because they're really putting on the hard work. Do you get what I'm saying?
Investing in the networks and everything outside
and it took them almost even 8 years to do that. You understand? So yes, the financial factor might play a part, but it's about who do you really bring on the inside to really change the game. Do you get what I'm saying? Eliminating stuff like nepotism, all sort of stuff. If a person really qualifies to do that, then you definitely, I mean, they've been having analysis. They are the one who introduces the co-coaching and the technical. They've been showing it, even on the development side. Do you get what I'm saying? And Pirates started doing that. They brought a coach that brought his own technical and everything. Things are starting to change. You get what I'm saying? So from other teams, I think they'll slowly just try to introduce that. Do you get what I'm saying? By the management, bring the right people behind the scenes so that the players can comfortably produce results and have the right players alongside them. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the things that I've seen behind the scenes.
Do you think there's more pressure now to win the league since the treble chances are gone?
Yes.
There's no more Nedbank Cup. Do you think now there's more pressure to take that gap and take the league now?
For who?
For Sundowns. I feel like you guys, because it's like it's too obvious. It was supposed to be a Pirates Sundowns final again.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be hopefully a South African final in CAF.
Yeah.
And the race, this number 2, this gap is looking a bit taller. With Pirates kind of keeping their form. Don't you think there's a little bit added pressure now to take the 2 things that you guys are in contention for?
There is pressure, of course. But then again, I think you have Coach Cardoso that has been brought into Sundowns. Not necessarily to win the league, but of course he has to win the league.
And keep the standard of
because everybody else before him actually won the league,
Yeah.
right? So the pressure of Mamelodi Sundowns is to continuously every season play in the Champions League and still try to win it, just like how we did in 2016, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the mandate of the coach. But also the pressure comes with Sundowns has to be on the podium every season. There's no excuse because you look at the quality players that Mamelodi Sundowns have in the team. So you can't look back into a season like I could have done things better. You do have the players, right? And I strongly believe that in South African football, Sundowns has the more quality players than any other team, right?
And
so it
financial
comes.
muscle.
Yeah.
When you're from Nessa.
No, but also you look at this. I understand that when you speak about Mamelodi Sundowns, the first thing that people speak about is it's the financial power that they have. But you downplaying it by not saying the
That is being used well.
I mean, look at the type of players that they sign, right? You look at Mamelodi Sundowns in the past. Not every player that was signed. Mamelodi Sundowns has been signing quality players since President took over. But it's just that sometimes it never worked out, right? But then the structure changed. In the past, you have Mamelodi Sundowns has always competed against Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. And the competition is with Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, players themselves in South Africa want to play for those teams. So now with Mamelodi Sundowns, nobody wanted to play. Yeah. Oh. So players now, so with Mamelodi Sundowns, it's like, okay, so what is it that we can do differently? So they started looking outside the continent to try and find players that has a similar style. The difference, besides the money issue, the difference between Sundowns and the rest of the team is they sign players according to the system that they play.
Yeah.
Other teams,
That's very important.
they've been struggling with identity for years. Kaizer Chiefs have been struggling with identity for years. So has Orlando Pirates. So with Mamelodi Sundowns, you look at the player like, yeah, he's a good player, but it's not going to fit into the system. So even when the coach comes in to Sundowns to come and coach, you're coaching a system that has been there for the club. You're not coming with your own system and philosophy of how you want to play. Okay, so you can implement the type of systems and whatever.
And improve.
Yes, but the philosophy is still the same. So the challenge is about Chiefs and Pirates. It's always been that. But I'm saying to you, I'm putting it on the table right now. You have Coach Rivera that is leaving Orlando Pirates. Rest assured that Orlando Pirates is going to start afresh. Right? If Coach Nabi doesn't stay, Kaizer Chiefs needs to start afresh. So then, who are you giving advantage to? Sundowns. So people been looking at Mamelodi Sundowns have been dominated. Yeah, because you guys are restarting every season. Mamelodi Sundowns is not starting. It's actually continuing. Yeah. You guys are changing coaches, you're changing this, you're changing this, you're bringing 4 or 5 players in, they need to acclimatize to the team. By the time you wake up, Mamelodi Sundowns is 20 points ahead, and it becomes very difficult to catch up. So the continuity within Mamelodi Sundowns has been the success of the club. And also it helps because the management buys into the coach's philosophy, the vision of the club as well. So other teams, you have Kaizer Chiefs that we want to see them play in Champions League. Of course we do. And I'm a Sundowns guy. I can sit here and tell you that when Kaizer Chiefs is performing, I'm telling you, South African football becomes exciting.
It's amazing, yeah.
It becomes amazing, right? But then you have emotional signings that Kaizer Chiefs does.
Signs from fans.
Yeah, you understand? You have emotional signings. So you signing Primo because when you played against him last week, So, but where is he going to play? Right? And then you have a Kaizer Chiefs right now for the last 2 seasons, they've been carrying by youngsters. So now you're depriving those youngsters growth because now they're taking responsibility that they should be taking 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So they're taking it right now. So they'll never grow. I can tell you right now.
It's harder to start there, then come back.
You have to, as a youngster, you have to allow the youngster to have time to mature and grow, make those type of mistakes. Now you're giving them so much responsibility at a young age. So now you can't even tell them what to do anymore. Because as youngsters, when we were starting out as youngsters, after training, my friend, we pick up the boots and the balls, we carry them. We go them with to the changing room.
There's
youngsters.
some hierarchy still.
Yeah. But then if I'm a youngster that is carrying the team, what are you going to tell me? I've got better goals, I've got better assists than you. What are you going to tell me? As much as you earn better than me.
Fans talk more about me than
My guy, do you understand what I'm saying?
100%.
So as a Kaizer Chiefs, I have never witnessed Kaizer Chiefs being carried by youngsters. I've seen youngsters coming into the team, growing, maturing, and becoming better players, but I've never seen them carried by all these youngsters. So now you have a team, and we all know that in the world of football, youngsters, the biggest problem about the youngsters is the inconsistency in terms of performance. So now when the youngsters, Kaizer Chiefs, are not performing, the team is not performing. You cannot tell me, as much as Duba is a good player, as much as Shabalala is a good player, Villegas is a good player, all these youngsters are, but they can't carry me, my guy. I can't go into the game, so those are type of things. But now you look at Orlando Pirates, what happened is Coach Rivera came through. When he clicked, when he came through the first season, he was chopping and changing the team every single game. Until he found his format, he was very difficult to change the team, right? And then what happens to the team? The players started banging into the coach's philosophy, they started winning. That was the same thing as Kaizer Chiefs. When Stuart Baxter, because he was the last coach that was successful in that club, when he came in, he had his own players that would play the type of football that he wanted. And by that time, Kaizer Chiefs wanted to win. They had your Morgan Gold, we know that when it's a set piece, it's a nightmare. We knew that, hey, guys, if we have to defend the set pieces and or not to distribute, we stand a chance of winning the game. But then it becomes so difficult to do that. But you look at now, in terms of evolving is, Mamelodi Sundowns still play the same way that they've been playing the past 4 or 5 years, right? And also you can look at Mamelodi Sundowns, you can look at the Pito era, you can look at the Rulani era. Of course now it's too early, it's too soon for us to speak about Coach Cardoso's era. But with Rulani, he redefined how Mamelodi Sundowns should be playing. And there's still some sort of elements into Mamelodi Sundowns play that you can resemble Coach Rulani way, right? But with Kaizer Chiefs then you have Coach Nabi. That he's complaining about the same thing that other coaches have been complaining about for 4 or 5 years. Sign me better players. So, but Kaizer Chiefs, you're signing available players. You're not signing better players. You're signing players that are available. Then you want to win. You can't. Because you can still have good players around you, but they can't be a team. So you're forcing all these players now to become a team. And also, I'm going to say this might be very controversial, but it Chiefs, in fact, team members lose, in fact. Do you understand?
In what sense?
In a sense, when the team was formed, you know, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of people, there's fans that died coming to watch the game, there's people that lost their lives while playing for this team.
There's a lot of higher power.
I'm telling you, so then, and there's certain numbers, certain jersey numbers within the team that needs to be respected because of the person that wore that jersey, right? So you can't just do figure and you make 18. Do you know what others one did for the club? Do you understand? So you need to understand, I'm number 10. The last time number 10 was successful, it was how many years ago? So that's a double issue. You understand what I'm saying? So there's certain elements, like Orlando Pirates is doing, the 10, the retired jersey, they understand the significance of numbers and the people that actually wore those numbers before that. So there's certain teams that you can't just walk in. Like for me, instance, when you have 80% to 90% of players that are playing for Kaizer Chiefs that don't understand what it means to play for this club, and you look at the technical team, nobody on the technical team played for Chiefs, then how then in the dressing room you actually now emphasize of the importance of playing for the badge? Whereas nobody there understand what it means. So then, I'm not shooting down Junior and the Kaizer Chiefs management, but I'm just saying there's certain elements of the game that you can't takeaway.
Yeah.
You need to understand.
skip.
You can't skip them. You can't take the short road. You need shortcuts to success. And I'm still saying, if things are bad in the dressing room, you need a person that stand up and say, that understands how difficult it is to actually go to the petrol station to pour petrol because you played for Kaizer Chiefs and you lost the game. You understand? So if you look at now the Kaizer Chiefs that used to be successful, you look at everybody else that have played there. Either they are 10 years, 8 years in, Abu Shaba, all this type of players. So when things are difficult, those are the characters that actually stands up because they understand what it means to play for Kaizer Chiefs. Now you've got Orlando Pirates. It used to be like that when Happy was still there. Happy was such an important player in the team because he understands the importance of playing for the club, right? And they still have those type of players even now. They might not be using them regularly, but they still have those type of players that they're the ones that comes to you. But then it needs you to become a team to have a similar goal and be driven to a successful final. I liked what I saw against Sundowns from a Chiefs point of view. Goalkeeper Peterson.
Yes.
I know people make joke about it because here's Coach Peterson. No. He wants to play. Definitely wants to play. But when he's on the bench, he plays a bigger role. He's animated.
I saw that.
He's personal. You understand? So those are the players that mean as a coach, mean as a management, the players that I want because they're driven by the passion of the club. They want to succeed in this club. And I strongly believe that with Kaizer Chiefs in the final, maybe that's the feeling that they need. You want the Mart to have the feeling of being on the podium to lift this thing, right? You want all these other players. You want the Lilepo now maybe to break into a next level of performance. You want Duba to become a better player maybe in the national team, but you need to be in the podium to have that type of feeling. You can have all these conversations. If you're not going to back them up, you can go and do those interviews. That's a win. But if you're not going to win,
you're not going to put the work.
You're not going to put the work. You understand? So here which now you're looking at the final, you have the Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. Now we're looking at Orlando Pirates the last 6 years, cup specialist.
Sure.
Coach Rivera has never lost a cup game. It's ridiculous, right? So now you're going against a team that knows how to win the trophy.
That's going for a three-peat.
In fact, you understand what I'm saying? So it becomes very challenging for Kaizer Chiefs then. But then it boils down to individuals. So we see, okay, me now, how do I want to be remembered?
That's where the real stuff now
as a
comes
Kaizer Chiefs
in.
player. Because in the last 10 years, maybe Kaizer Chiefs have signed 20 to 80 players. None of them remembers them because nobody won. But then how do I want to be remembered as a Kaizer Chiefs player? And I'm glad there's no crowd pleaser at Kaizer Chiefs because the crowd pleasers are the first one to leave when the new coach comes to. So you want to win. We want the Shabalala. We speak about, Shabalala is, but Shabalala is no longer a DDC player. He's a seasoned player and has been Kaizer Chiefs' first team for 3 years. He still has to win something. In all honesty, we can't be comparing him, no really. Really, he's a serial winner now. You understand? And he's on another level now.
No, that should be declared a crime to compare with anyone.
No, but I'm just saying because of the age, because of...
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, with certain things needs to change. And I always feel for Coach Nabi because then when I look at his complaints and I start going back to Gavin Hunt, to all the other coaches that coached, they were still complaining about the same thing. Because then for me to be able to compete with Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns, I need to have the weapon, the itineraries with me to compete with me. So I can't just be competing with Mlomo Pay. And you know with Mamelodi Sundowns, okay, Mamelodi Sundowns, they able to sign this and this and this. But it's in jail though. To win the league and to lose the league is in February every year. Because in February, the very same Mamelodi Sundowns, for the last 10, 12, 15 years, they're playing Champions League. It's chock-a-block in February. There's Netbank Cup. That you're fighting for the league. It's Champions League.
It's the bottleneck. It's the
you understand what I'm saying?
part of the league.
It's the toughest part of the league.
It's the crunch time games.
Yes.
Of all the cups.
Relegation is So then if you don't have depth and quality, that's when then it separates you from everybody else. So with Kaizer Chiefs is, you can't just win a league or just go on and be in the competitive space against all these clubs with just 14 and 15 players. You need to have a pool of 25 or 26 players. And those 25 or 26 players, you stand a chance of anybody that comes in and walks into that team and play. It still gives you the high percentage of winning the game.
How do you guys feel about this matchup that we have now? Besides the fact that it's a derby final, we have one team, like I said, they're going for 3 peats. The other one wants to redeem themselves on the zone trophies. This one, last dance. This one is a prove yourself season.
It's the first dance.
You know, it's first proper chance at a dance. I got
Auto invite.
Finally. Finally he's in the VIP. You know, on this side you have a team that's been gelling for the last 3 to 5 years. You know, on this side you have a team that's been reconstructing constantly. You know, trying to figure out solutions.
You're talking about the best team in Africa now.
100%.
Orlando Pirates.
Now.
Now. As in now, like as in the past few games. Remember, we're topping the CAF Champions League group.
Now,
We had the last four. Without a loss.
Listen.
The facts are there.
Listen. Do you know that this really doesn't say the
rankings.
The rankings.
Yeah.
Sundowns is number 2.
Do they have those PhD, those people who made those? But on a serious note, Orlando Pirates is topping a group stage that is Al Ahly in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about arguably the best team in Africa, and we're in the last
far.
top 4. Yes. Yeah. So I don't understand the ratings, but I'm saying now in the past few weeks, Orlando Pirates is the best team.
No.
Okay, guys, wait.
Okay, let's leave.
This one's going to get out.
Sundowns is the best.
This one is going to get out. We have a PhD versus experience. This is going to be an argument that's going to take us. And we don't have a lot of time. But what I want to touch on is who we all think, because our conversation has been very centered around the P3. Who do we think are the standout players of this Netbank Cup tournament across the board? You know, because we have other teams that we definitely looked at. I know we really want to Stellenbosch to do a lot better. This time they didn't. They slipped off. They gave the chance to Roma. They gave the chance to Skukune. Chiefs has had the chance to show us, you know, a few of the youngsters that we thought were just that little pool of Villarreal or Shabalala. Now there's new guys just popping up here and there. Sesane is now coming in, popping in there by Pirates. There's little sporadic pieces of guys. I don't know who you guys think has stood out this season.
Yeah. Do you specifically mean for the
Netbank
Cup in the tournament?
I think for me, Tsokofata did well. You know, he also I think he also scored a hat-trick from mistaken in the games, and he was needing this competition because they're having like he's competing also with Mahoba for the lineup. So I think he really needed this one because also this competition, like I said, it gives time for the French players, those who are not getting time to really expose themselves, be given a chance. You know. And yeah, I think for me, Tsokofata really did well. Yeah.
It was a really crucial role, especially in that specific game because it was a 5-goal thriller.
Yeah.
5 goals in that
They
game.
don't fail up stadium. Yeah,
You painted.
I had to, because I could feel that if we slip on this one, we might not make
But is he
it.
consistent enough? Because if you've scored a brace and in another game you don't play and you can for 3 minutes, what does it say? I don't want to put it in that way, but I'm just saying.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think what you maybe missed in your textbooks with your PhD is that because also Cup, number one, the Netbank Cup is a very varied kind of tournament. You play very different levels at different times. You come play a team from the second league. Next week you're playing PSL team. The other week you're playing NFT team. The other week, you know what I'm saying? So there's very high variation, especially if you're a PSL team. Number one. Number two, there's so many different styles that are competing against this Pirates team or just the big three right now. Everybody's seen the big three exposed so much. Most teams know how to tackle Sundowns. Most teams think they know how to tackle Pirates. Most teams think they know how to tackle Chiefs. Pirates has 2 choices right now. Either you're going to go for a striker that presses from the front and helps the team with the play.
Now, Hopper gives you that.
That's what Hopper does. Or you're going to have a guy who's an outright finisher and a runner.
Mabasa gives you
And
that.
you see, so that's why I feel like it's not always his consistency that's not making him play the next game. It's sometimes that these guys might need their defense to be pressured a lot more than last game. In the Baroka game, they didn't need that pressure. We were coming at them. It was wave after wave after wave,
Yeah.
and Mabasa just had to find the spaces, get into it, wait for the ball.
Yeah.
Inside. You know, whereas you have another team where Makgopa has to, with Gallants, Makgopa has to be on them from that side.
Yeah.
You know, because they're going to have the ball, they're going to get their chances, they're going to be at our box. But when we have the chance to get them from behind, we need to push them in, squeeze them in.
And I also think like when Makgopa plays, you look at the first round of the league, before we speak about the Netbank Cup, when you look at the first round of the league, Mabasa was the one that was playing more, right? But then once Pirates started having issues in defense, injuries and all that stuff, so what you do is now you change a little bit, because now you don't want to defend in a low block because you don't have good defenders. Because Sasani just got injured. Ogi comes back from an injury. You're not even sure when Da got injured, you know? So now you're trying to find ways how not to concede. So the person that helps you in that regard becomes Makgopa, because now you're defending from the front. And the thing, thanks to Coach Rere, because Makgopa is our national asset. We need a guy in the national team. So with Pirates, what it brings that different dynamic as well. But also that, you know, sometimes we look at the strikers, we look at the numbers, because sometimes now in football, especially lately, we taking the soul out of football, because VAR is there, you must celebrate twice. Right? And then we have stats now. Everybody can Google and they're like, yeah, this one is better than this one. So we no longer judge now based on the eye, right? But if I'm a midfielder for Orlando Pirates right now, Makgopa is in front of me, dude, it makes my job a little bit easier. Right? That's, you know what I'm saying. Right?
You made excellent Walaza to shine.
But also, like, if I'm going, but if I'm playing against a team that defends in the box, Mabasa will be a player for me, because then I can.
Poacher,
yeah, you know what I'm saying.
chance.
Yeah. So as a midfielder, I need to understand their characteristics and their strengths and weaknesses. But that's why I'm saying, if I have to go and play away at Al Ahly in the Champions League and Orlando Pirates, do I start Tito? No, I don't. Depending if it's a first leg or second leg, right? So Coach Rivera has found that, and now you're looking at the final itself. You're trying to figure out whether Chiefs will sit back or have the mentality that they have against Sundowns. They actually start playing from the top. And I think that's when it becomes now we start comparing from player to player. Right? Maybe this might play, maybe this might play. But anyway.
So when you're saying now about midfielders, there's a midfielder that stands out for me. And I want to hear what your education says about this one, what the textbooks say about Mukhaila
From Skukune.
that midfield maestro.
Yeah,
Because for me personally, he's been a standout player.
Yeah.
He's been holding that team down.
Yeah.
He's the engine basically of this Skukune team, especially in this tournament setting.
Yes.
Where on the day, that game counts so much.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
No, he played very well in terms of the league. I think I like the way he has improved, especially with his final touches. I was asking myself, like, he would play well, but his last touch was very bad. But of recently, I've seen him, especially on Nedbank. He was very crucial. It's a pity sometimes we overlook these smaller teams, if one may say. We tend to talk about Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates and Sundowns, and we don't allow ourselves just to broaden our eyes and to see those individuals that are really playing well, even in this competition. Because it's not about those players that, reached the final. It's also about many players that really played very well. Yes, you understand?
The games are coming.
Yes. And we cannot deny the fact that the big three are big teams. And for some teams, you just have to reach a certain level, maybe of being in the top 8 of that competition for you to do well. According to your standard, if you measure that standard, you'd find that you've achieved even far better than the one that reached the final. So I think Makhaila really did well. Unfortunately, because remember, us fans, we overhype our players. You'd feel like a Skukune player is not there while they did well, because no one is advocating for them, no one is talking about them. But I think it really did very well, and maybe might be, even if age allows him, he can get a call. Because I think Netbank Cup, out of many cups, it has been that scouting kind of tournament that allows players coming from to showcase their talent. I think he can. If football age allows him, he can definitely get a call.
We've been talking about a lot about the teams, especially also the players. From you having spent time with the fans, What is the energy all about with the fans right now that the two teams are going to be playing
The
outside?
final derby.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing outside of their own town, which is Soweto. They're going far away to KZN. How's
Playing
the
it in Durban,
energy?
playing it in Durban, the final.
Yeah.
Always.
Yes,
And
they
you know
do.
that it's a Pirates home game.
Yeah.
If
But
you know that, you know that it's a. I know, but you know in terms of support, every time the Netbank Cup goes to Durban, have you seen the stands?
Have you seen when
It's
Chiefs
like,
play
whether
Pirates?
it's drawn as a Chiefs home
Let's
game,
get the
have
boxing
you
gloves
seen
out.
whose home game actually is?
Via
Via supporters. It's a Pirates home game. Do you remember last year's Netbank Cup Final against Sundowns?
The last final between
I
Chiefs and
barely
Pirates,
saw
you
yellow.
lost. The last final between Chiefs and Pirates, you lost. And we played at Mosmapid. He was there. He left at the
How
top.
old? How
So
long
it's fine.
ago was this?
No,
Wait,
it doesn't
wait.
matter.
It does matter, guys. Because
The last time
it's a very.
you were talking about the
It's a
history.
repeat
We were
itself.
talking about the history.
History
But either way,
repeats
let's
itself.
hear from PhD.
Please, did you share your PhD with them? No, they seeing the future. What's going on?
They're seeing the future.
But to be honest, this thing is like this final was scripted by God Himself.
Yeah.
Because this is the question that people were talking about. To say, final, we're going to book. Where is the final going? Is it going to be Cape Town, Durban, or Limpopo? In fact, or PE. That was the argument of the three cities. Limpopo, of the three provinces, Limpopo, Durban, or Cape Town. But I can tell you, Durban had got more votes than any other place between the three, because some would complain, if you were to talk about people who are going to Cape Town, they'd complain about the distance. Those that are driving and stuff. So, and remember, I think the sea attracts tourists. Yeah. So Limpopo, people would be like, "Ay, but how na luate na?" No, not in a bad way. But I think it was a perfect place, a perfect fit for the Netbank Cup to be in Durban. Even personally, to be honest, Durban is the best place. And yesterday, I can tell you, many fans started booking. People were talking about flights, hotels. And if you were to book, you need to book now. So I think that was perfect. But one final that fans really wanted was a derby. But let me tell you, they did not believe that there would be a derby.
Yeah.
No one thought Kaizer Chiefs would win. Majority of the people thought Kaizer Chiefs won't win it. But I said, I made a video just last week. I said, if Kaizer Chiefs wins the last 2 games of Nedbank, Kaizer Chiefs would become the best Kaizer Chiefs in the last 10 years. Yeah. That's amazing how football, or just like in life, it turns around in 2 days or in a week. Because if Nabi wins this last game, remember, he would have beaten Sundowns in the semis and Pirates. That alone would just give him the best coach in the last 10 years as far as Kaizer Chiefs is concerned. Just like in life, sometimes you have a bad day, tomorrow things turns around and you become that person. But I think Kaizer Chiefs fans really needs to appreciate their coach.
The stakes basically are super high for this final, for this Netbank Cup.
For both teams, man.
No, I think football has won already. To be honest, for this final, football has to have a derby final. Football has won.
I'm sure
Yeah.
I
mean,
they're gonna be sold out.
Oh, has to be.
In 1 hour.
0-0 porang
No, another extra time. Extra time.
No, Chief will never allow that. They'll never allow
the
that.
thing is like, it's so important for. I was very fortunate enough to be able to play in a derby. Like, there's no bigger game. Even any final in South Africa, there's no bigger game than a derby, especially when both teams are doing well in the league. I understand from a fan point of view, like, it will be a spectacle, 9-9. I just hope also that translates into the pitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, there's no shot at goal, there's this tension.
But I definitely think it's better.
match.
I definitely think it's better that since the goals, I don't know if it's the goals and saves thing, but we've been scoring a lot more. We've been seeing a lot of goal mouth action this season.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of goalkeepers shining. we've been seeing a lot of new strikers, good midfielders and wingers really doing their thing and contributing, especially when there's, in this part, like I said, Pirates had 5-game thriller, Chiefs already had a 5-game thriller for themselves too. You know, there's been a lot of goal contributions, chances, saves in this one. So I definitely don't think it's going to be a boring one.
No, but the thing is, like, that's what I don't know. I wish or
exactly.
because then, you know, the thing is like, it's a pressure game, right? And it's like he's saying, he believes or it's a fixture from God. Okay.
Not okay.
Okay. So then you have this because now it's a final. It's no longer a league match. It's a final, and not many players are able to still perform under pressure, right? We want them. We expecting them. But we fail to understand they're also human beings. They go through nerves. You know, they also get anxiety and all that stuff. So in a game like this, he spoke about fans starting to book. You must understand one thing. As footballers, there's those few chosen ones that actually fans from Limpopo forever, they buying tickets specifically to watch you play.
Work their money salary to be
understand?
able to afford
Yeah,
the
it's when you go on Primo.
When I chill there the weekend.
Primo was an and those type of players are very, very few chosen. And then now, those are type of players that understand when going to that game, I have a responsibility. And for me to actually perfect my responsibility or to deliver with my responsibility, I need my guys to be able to support me. You look at the last year's final against Sundowns. Mbombela. I was doing that game. I never, if somebody would have asked me if Rele will be the decider, I would have said no. But he was a decider. But now you go into this final, we remember that. You understand? So now you want to see him perform, but also on the other side as well, the nerves are starting from Kaizer Chiefs. You want to see Duma perform. I want to see the youngsters be the ones that hold the headlines, because then with those youngsters, you actually give them confidence to become better and better and better, and that also helps the national team. So I just hope that within that as well, it's not going to be a boring game, like the ones that we sometimes witness in the league. So
True.
That's my.
But this is not the league. This is the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah, but you're talking to people that don't even know what it feels like anymore.
I hear you, but if we're talking about experience and people who know what it feels like,
no, but you can't be.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the third one in a row.
That's what I'm
Let's
saying.
talk about it.
Yeah, but
so what's your prediction now? Are you trying to say?
No, he's trying to say the other one.
Wait, I didn't ask you. What's your prediction? Are you trying to say XP is gonna come out on the day? Score prediction, flat out.
Hey guys, if I hey Joe,
flat out, straight.
I'm on the fence on this one.
Straight.
No, I'm on the fence.
Hey, fancy can not Roy Buangayona. That's
You know
the fence.
what? You know why I can more fencing. Look, I think Coach Rivero has done what no coaches have actually done in Orlando Pirates. He has changed the face of Orlando Pirates football club,
100%.
right? And he's a guy that leaves, so I would like for him to leave with a trophy. And Champions League is not guaranteed, it's very difficult. The league, as much as you might have hopes, inside the calculator, it's gone, right? So the biggest opportunity, and also to make history, to win this, back to back. That will be history in itself, right? But also you want a Kaizer Chiefs to win. To have that conversation when the season starts, it becomes so exciting because you have Kaizer Chiefs that have won something. Hopefully, Pirates already has a trophy. Hopefully, Sundowns will have the league. So we have all this big three.
Spread now.
It's spread. You understand? So now we want that competition to go a little bit higher, but also you have to earn it. And now you're playing against a lot of Pirates that knows how, but you also have a Kaizer Chiefs that is hungry. So who knows? But for me, I just hope it goes to the penalties.
Cellular, my cellular.
But the penalty. Who's who in the Zoom?
Real saves.
Real
Real
saves.
prediction.
And I think it's going to be exciting. I think we want to see goals. I think how I'm seeing it turning out, Paris is going to have the ball. They're going to want to, knock it out, try having it, and Tito hyping the crowd up. She's just had to sit back. Even if they can make it as boring it is for us to watch it, as long as they get that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah,
One punch and then
She just needs that one opportunity.
Just that one,
do
that
Primo.
one, that Lile
do Primo.
and then even if you can sit
Sure.
back, do you get what I'm saying, and just win this, I think that's what it takes. I mean, I was looking at Orlando Pirates when they played in the CAF right now to go to.
Yeah.
They played the most boring thing, but they went through.
But it worked
Yeah,
for
they
what
went
needed
through.
to.
Do you get what I'm saying? At times, you just have to play that kind of football. But for the fans' perspective, I think it's gonna be amazing.
great
It's
game.
gonna be an amazing experience. Like you said, they've already booked. It's closer to the hotels. Just gonna be fun. You
Also,
know?
Durban is man.
Yeah, you
Durban.
understand?
Netbank Cup weekend.
To break the cloud, to break the cloud in Durban.
Yeah, there's something in the water.
You might even stay longer. For
Who's
some of us,
going?
you might even try to stay longer. But I think it's going to be exciting, good opportunities, and I'm hoping, like you mentioned, for the youngsters to really take this
This opportunity
I
to
know, yeah, I
put the
understand.
club on
Can
their
you
backs.
imagine Fundo scoring in the last minute before he even goes to the AFCON for the under-20? That will boost his
Sounds like
confidence.
Wallo, yeah, no, just PhD.
Yeah.
What is the books, the calculator? What is the dissertation about when it comes to this prediction?
dissertation.
You know what I'm saying?
I think we're going to humiliate them. On the final, we're going to humiliate Kaizer Chiefs. I know that they will be very defensive. They don't want to risk it. Remember, like I'm saying, this is the most important game for them in the last 10 years. So they know for sure that if they win this one, they are done.
Everything's changed.
And for Orlando Pirates, they just need the psychological strength to say, much as we are playing finals, let's take this final as serious as we can. Because one thing about success, it can make you to take important stuff as simple.
Lightly.
Yeah, and you just feel like you're playing another final. So we don't want that. We want them to have hunger. You understand? To have hunger to say, let's go and fight. And let's not undermine Kaizer Chiefs. There's a reason why they reached the final. There's a and Abashapaba to fail. Shapile Sundowns is a very big team. Yeah. It's a hard team to beat. So it means Kaizer Chiefs is dangerous.
But we won offside there.
Yeah, offside ke offside, but they could shoot offside. But we always give advantage to the attacking team, and it looks easy how to refold like Coach Cardoso. That's why Freezer. But Haidala, it's not as easy as it looks. Yes, it's not as easy as it looks. It looks how Shapile line. It be easy, but with the momentum and remember this movement. But how stopper tick? It's not a true reflection of.
Ashley is so quick.
Yes.
Maybe if they take
He's
it
quicker
back
than the camera.
and they don't show the picture, but they show the video clip.
Yes.
You might be surprised
Yes.
that
How
maybe
So we're
because
not
of his
4-1.
quickness.
We're not 4-1 for the final. No?
Ah, ke batho ba shapatse ngata. 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah,
Clean sheet.
yes.
No, Mbogazi is there. Don't worry. I can talk about the answer. Mbogazi.
Formation ya rona is complicated.
You can't
Lo
reach the
dlala
final in
1,
these three, bro.
5, 4. Mbogazi uyi-1.
Mbogazi, one man.
And again, 20 youngsters carrying big teams. So selling pressure already.
So,
But
my
I
skipper,
got good.
what is your for the final prediction?
Don't say that.
Did not say
Chiefs is
that.
hungry. Like we've been saying, Chiefs is hungry, and I think they will take it.
You think it's going to Chiefs?
It would be nice.
I think
for
this
Coach
cheese, I think
Vieira
you've had a
to
bit
get
too much cheese. It's getting into your head.
Give
Now,
me
let me
more.
taste what this
Give
cheese
me
is.
more.
Because the way you're talking, Ukara, this cheese is dribbling you.
Now it would be nice for Coach Rivero to win it, and
On his
it will
last
be a,
dance,
it
yeah.
will be a nice, send off. But Chiefs is hungry, they
Hey,
win it.
but
they go
also,
back to
but
being
also, like
cupcakes.
in true sense as well, we sometimes make bad decisions based on hungry stomach.
Based on hunger. And I think it's time to go eat now.
So being hungry,
now I'm actually hungry. I'm starting to be actually hungry.
Let me eat
I
now.
think we need to feed him. I think you're eating too much cheese. I think let's go eat. Let's go eat. Let me feed you. Because cheese is hungry now. But I think you are hungry. Let's go. My friends, shout out for the conversation. Good luck to you. Unlucky, Rodman. Unlucky. Unlucky. Utapota lu.
Angel, leave me alone. I'm nursing the wounds.
I think the assignment, the group work, ne?
Yeah.
Just send me the assignment. I'll put my input there. We'll finish.
You're right.
Thank you.
Coming your way, my leader. Yabo.
Yes, sir.
Let's share it with
Yeah, man,
you.
I'll call you with
What a player for him to redeem himself after that 4.
Hey! Netbank Cup, Chilo Shakunanzig.